Hello Pixera fans, my name is Holger from me, and today I want to show you how to control your Pixera show with AVIO. Usually in your fixed installation you want to have control over the clips, the sound output, the volume, and special other functions like automated calibration via an external control panel. This can be a tablet or an external computer or even a web browser page. We have here our little setup, a screen and two projectors that are already blended by Vioso, and I already generated something on the timeline. So we have two clips, two sound files, and a logo on the top of the clips. These two clips we want to trigger by buttons via the control panel. First of all, you need to check on your system the available AVIO services, which can be found in the taskbar. So here you have the Wings AVIO services. With a right mouse click you open the context menu and have all the services that are available that are coming with your license. So if you want to have the scheduler or any of these other features, you can configure them from here. Even if this is mentioned no license, the scheduler will work with the standard license that comes free with your player license for Pixera. In the next step, we want to draw and generate a tap surface. So for this you need to run Wings Touch. We create a new project, and this is actually your surface where you can insert your functions. So you have here labels for the buttons or whatever on the screen. You can add a text field, different buttons, indicators, switches, media fields, faders, progress bars, web browser fields, touchpad, analog clock, digital clock. So all these functions you can just place, drag and drop onto your field. So for our project we choose an analog clock. Just draw it into your window and place it on the right location. Then we want to add buttons, multi-state buttons in this case, to trigger our clips. So you just draw it in the right size that you want to have. And this is now not really impressive, so we give it another design. And we fill it, in this case, with a picture that are already generated from our clips, some screenshots. We need to do this for both states. And then we overlay it with a little play symbol that you can find in the library. Here we go. We apply this for all states, so the symbol will be there for both states, for state on and for state off. But for state on, we want to have the button in another color. So we choose green for playback. Now you have the white background for the overlay in white and green for playback. We don't want to have the overlay text, so we just remove this for both of the states, and that's our first button. We have to give this button a name. It makes it easier to recognize in our configuration later. So we call this clip 1, and then we just copy and paste for the second clip. So this one, we of course give it a new design, and we fill it with the background of the other clip, of course for both states again. And as you can see, state on and state off is working, and we need to give it another name. We call this clip 2. So it's always a good idea to have a stop button. So we make a normal button, but in this case we give it another design. So we just overlay it by a symbol of the stopper function, and this should be in the color of gray, and we remove the background and the border. So that is our stop button. We just need to rename it to, making it easy, stop. So we have now a clock, a trigger for our first clip with an indicator, trigger for our second clip, and the stop button. So next we want to insert some more functions. We want to have another button for the VIOSO calibration, recalibration. So we can add here a text like VIOSO. This button should be maybe like this size, and we don't change the design so far, and it's already called VIOSO. Then we want to have a status bar of the CPU usage, so we are already always aware what is the status of the CPU performance. So for this we need to rotate it, so the level goes from here to here, from down to up. And maybe place it here. We give it a name, CPU, and we add a label for it, so we know later what it is. CPU. Okay. Next we want to have a slider, a fader for our all over volume, and we call this volume, and even we give it a label which is called volume. Next we add another fader which will give us the opacity of our logo. So here we have the fader and we call it logo, and we make another label which is called logo opacity. Place it like this. We have to change the size a little bit so it's matching the second fader, and that's our control panel. So we are back in Pixera, and what we need to do here is only one time we need to change the protocol in the RP section to Pixera to AVIO services. So this is done already here. Once this is activated, then you will see your Pixera section in your AVIO services. back to compositing, we already place here the cue on the beginning of the first clip, and I labeled this as 1. And there is another cue on the end, which is a jumping cue, and this jumps to the goal 1. So once this clip is on its end, it starts to play from the beginning. In this case, it jumps to 1 and plays the clip in a loop. The same I did for the second clip already. So there is the play operation, it's called 2, and this one is the jump operation, and it jumps back to the goal 2, so this is playing in a loop. And these are our identifiers to trigger the clips by the buttons. So as a next step, we need to give our buttons and faders and progress bars functions and connect it with our timeline and all the other features. So for that we start the AVIO manager and we create a new project, call it maybe test 4, place it on the in the documents, and here you already can see that you have the nodes Pixera, which is only activated once you have the API of AVIO running in Pixera. This is our nodes for the computer or the media server that is connected. In this case it's a laptop, and you have access to a lot of controls like for system shutdown, restart, volume for the speakers, which we want to use later, and all the other features. What we don't see is our tablet or a pad, and for that we need to start the project. So now it's connecting to AVIO Manager, and once it's connected you can see it on this side. You need to refresh, and then you can see that you have as well your test page 4 here with all our features. So in the next step we need to bring our buttons to life and give it some functionality. So we have here our page, and we just drag and drop it to our main window, and we have what we want to do is that when we press clip number 1, as you can see here, this is the toggle buttons. So when I press this clip, it is giving a result of 1 of this button. This is the inputs and this is the outputs. So we need to connect this output with a logical function to the timeline to trigger the cue number 1. So the timeline we have here in Pixera, which is here, and we just drag and drop the whole timeline to our main window, and we have our Q1 here. So we draw a connection, a direct one in this case, from the clip 1 button to the cue number 1. The result is this one. So it's playing back the clip 1, and as you can see, the state of the button changed to activate, to playback, to this green arrow. Now we want to even have control over the stop button, because now it's playing back in a loop. So we go to stop from the stop button output to the stop functionality of the Pixera timeline. Direct connection again. So once we press the stop button, the show stops. We do the same for clip number 2. Clip number 2 is here. And when we press clip number 2, we see that the second clip is playing and it stops as well. Then next one, we want to have the faders, the logo fader. When we change the fader, we want to have the opacity of the logo layer. So we connect the fader to the opacity direct. So even you can change and check it here. So as you can see, the fader is moving on the control panel and the input of the opacity is changing as well. In the output, this will look like this. So we play back again one of the clips and we have the logo fader here, and the logo is fading in and out according the position. The same we do with the volume. This is not controlled by the timeline, so we have to take our laptop services, and we don't want to bring everything to this side, then it might look very complex and we don't have a good overview. So we just take the volume speakers level here. This is still from an old connection. Just remove it. We maybe place it somewhere here, and we connect this fader to the input of the volume. And again, as you can see, the volume now change here, and when we change it on the pad, it's changing as well. Let's see if this is working. Perfect. Then we want to connect the VIOSO recalibration to this is not, of course, in the timeline, this is in the screens. So we bring the screen node to our main screen, and we connect the VIOSO recalibration button to auto recalibrate. So once we press the button, the result is 1, and the Pixera Auto Cal Plus is starting, and as you can see on the output screen, even the recalibration process is starting as well. So let's do some control via a specific time. So for that, we just need to go to our AVIO services and go to the scheduler function. Here you can add your new schedule. We will call this clip 1 all day. So it should play clip 1 on every day in the week on a certain time. And we trigger it, now it's 9:18, we trigger this to 9:25, save it, and now we have to go in our notes for the scheduler, and here you find the clip 1 all day. So once this is activated, so we need the output, clip 1 should be played back. So we just put it to the input of the button of clip 1 directly. It's not working because it's not activated, so for now we just connect it to the input of clip 1 playback. And I come back to you when it's 9:25. So welcome back. It's already near to 9:25, and in 2, 1, 0 the clip is playing back. Of course, you can do this as well with auto calibration or all other controls. What you might already recognize is when we press play on the control to play back a clip, and we press stop, then the status of our indicator here is not changing. So how can we fix this? We just go to our stop function here and go to the input of the button for clip 1. So which means that once stop is activated, which gives you a 1, it is changing the status of the clip of this button. So let's check if this is working. So we are playing back. We press stop and it is changing again the status of the clip, and we don't have the green arrow here. So till now our CPU utilization is not connected. So we want to change this, and we go to our system utilization, where you have the system, the CPU utilization. We just drag it to an empty space. Here you can see the CPU utilization in %, and the output we need to connect with our status bar here. So the output goes to the CPU status bar directly because it's in %. And as you can see now, it's changing in our control pad our CPU utilization. So you have a very good overview of your system performance. You can do this with all other controls as well, of course. So to personalize your tablet graphic user interface, you can change maybe the background to a picture, even as a video. We choose this picture now, and we can add maybe a logo as well. So we go to insert, we take a rectangle, place it somewhere here in the edge, place a logo inside and fill it with a shape, source, and our logo, and that's it so far. When you play your test content, then it will look like this. That's it so far for the AVIO services for Pixera. You can do really a lot of controls with the classic license. You don't need to add for your standard controls more features for upgrade in the license. And yeah, I wish you a lot of fun with control Pixera via AVIO.